The Galactic Federation Educational Exchange Program had always been a point of pride for Administrator Trill. For decades, the program successfully integrated species from across the known universe, fostering understanding and cooperation. Yet, nothing in his 67 cycles of service had prepared him for the arrival of humans, classified as Class 12 Deathworlders, to Nexus Academy. Tom Walker stood at the entrance of the gymnasium, his broad shoulders and solid frame casting a shadow that seemed disproportionately large compared to his actual size. The 16-year-old exchange student from Earth represented the first human ever admitted to the prestigious academy, a controversial decision that had sparked heated debates across 12 star systems. "Welcome, Earth student," Professor Glip chirped, her translucent exoskeleton shifting colors from a professional blue to a nervous yellow-green. "Please join the others for today's physical assessment." The gymnasium buzzed with the chatter of 37 students from 23 different species. Some floated, others crawled, a few phase-shifted between states of matter, but all fell silent as Tom strode toward the assembly area. His footsteps, firm, heavy, confident, echoed through the cavernous space designed to accommodate beings of all physiologies. Lynn, a delicate avian student with iridescent feathers, leaned toward her gelatinous friend Morp. "I heard their planet has almost 2 times standard gravity," she whispered, her crest rising in excitement. "And they have predators everywhere." "I heard their world has extreme temperature variations," Morp bubbled back. "From freezing to burning in a single planetary rotation." Tom pretended not to hear, having grown accustomed to being the subject of fascination and fear over the past 3 weeks at Nexus. The humans' reputation as survivors of one of the galaxy's most hostile environments preceded him. Professor Glip's appendages twitched nervously as she addressed the class. "Today we measure baseline physical capabilities across species-specific parameters. Remember, this is not a competition but an assessment of your natural abilities." The professor's statement was technically true. Federation educational philosophy emphasized individual growth rather than direct comparison. But every student knew the informal rankings would spread across the station before dinner cycle. First came the endurance tests. The aquatic students performed brilliantly in the liquid medium chamber. The gaseous beings excelled at dispersion exercises. The silicon-based students demonstrated remarkable thermal resistance. When Tom's turn arrived, Professor Glip set the gravity simulator to Earth normal, approximately 1.5 times the station's standard gravity. "Just a light jog until you feel fatigued," she instructed. "We'll measure your cardiopulmonary efficiency." Tom nodded and began running at a comfortable pace around the track. 1 lap, 2 laps, 5 laps. By the 10th lap, murmurs spread through the observing students. "Shouldn't he be tired?" asked Drill, a crystalline student whose locomotion involved careful atomic rearrangement. After 20 laps, Professor Glip's color had shifted entirely to a baffled purple. "Human Tom, you may stop if you're feeling strain." Tom, barely braking. A sweat replied, "I'm good, Professor. This is just my warm-up pace back home." At 30 laps, Professor Glip finally called a halt, her scientific curiosity overwhelmed by scheduling concerns. The data readouts showed Tom's system operating well within sustainable parameters. He could have continued for hours. The strength assessment proved even more dramatic. In a controlled environment adjusted for each species' home gravity, students demonstrated their lifting capacity. Most results fell within expected parameters for their evolutionary backgrounds. When Tom's turn came, he casually lifted the weight stack designated as his species maximum and kept going. The mechanical testing apparatus whirred in protest as he exceeded the predicted human benchmarks by nearly 40%. "That's impossible," Professor Glip muttered, recalibrating her equipment. "The data from Earth's admission committee must have been flawed." "Sorry," Tom said with a shrug that sent ripples of movement through his dense musculature. "I've been weight training since I was 12. Dad says I'm still growing." The reflexes test caused even greater consternation. When the randomized stimulus, drones fired harmless sensor beams toward participants. Most students demonstrated respectable reaction times. Tom, however, snatched a high-speed drone from mid-air with a casual swipe when it attempted to tag him from behind. "How did you even see that?" demanded Crix, a six-eyed arachnoid student previously considered the reflex champion. "It was in your blind spot." Tom handed the drone back to the professor. "I felt the air displacement," he explained, uncomfortable with the attention. "Plus we played a lot of dodgeball back home." The final assessment, pain tolerance, nearly caused a diplomatic incident. When the standardized discomfort induction device delivered its mild stimulus, Tom didn't even flinch. "Is it broken?" he asked. Professor Glip, now a distressed shade of orange, verified the equipment was functioning normally. "This is calibrated to produce noticeable discomfort in 98% of sentient species." "Oh," Tom said, rubbing his neck awkwardly. "On Earth, we call that a static shock. Kids zap each other with it for fun sometimes." By the end of the class period, the alien students had formed a respectful circle around Tom, bombarding him with questions about Earth. Even Crix, initially, threatened by Tom's physical prowess, seemed fascinated. "Do all humans have these capabilities?" asked Lynn, her wings fluttering nervously. Tom smiled, finally seeing an opportunity to connect rather than intimidate. "I'm pretty average, actually. You should see our Olympic athletes." As the students filed out of the gymnasium, Administrator Trill observed from his monitoring station with mixed emotions. The humans' performance had exceeded all projections, another data point supporting the growing theory that Earth's brutal evolutionary pressures had forged humans into one of the galaxy's most physically formidable species. "Perhaps," Trill mused to himself, updating Tom's file, "we've been defining advanced species too narrowly all along." For the first time since arriving, Tom walked to his next class surrounded by curious classmates rather than given a wide berth. The Deathworlder had demonstrated not just physical superiority, but something the alien students found far more impressive: the restraint and gentleness with which he wielded his power.